Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Investing Bros.
Taking a look at Bitcoin on a 4-hour right now. You can see here that we did have a chart pattern that had printed up here, and we had broken it down. We just pulled back into that chart pattern recently, okay? So let me go ahead and turn that off for now. You can see that we did have, going back to this wick down that we had right here on Friday morning, and if we take that up and take a look, it's about a 6.5% pull back to the upside. But however, if I turn on the volume, guys, look how low the volume is right here in comparison to this uptick that we've had here. A little bit of a pump of volume right here. Let me go ahead and grab that drawing tool. You can see a little bit of uptick right here. But yeah, overall, man, not looking too strong. But yeah, so it's a little pump up, but low volume, man, coming in. So I'm not seeing anything strong there. If I pull on the market oracle, we can see on the 4-hour, we're still sitting well below the dynamic reactor here. The thing that I am seeing on the oscillator for the Chart Prime oscillator is that we do have a downtick arrow going on, and I'm waiting to see. Yep, histogram just did it. Histogram is going back and forth right here between light green and that between that light green and that dark green, and that means that we do have a potential for this to start to pull back down here a little bit like this, probably get across on the signal line and then reject. Now, what I do want to point out here, and this is a very important thing to point out, we are right now at the upper trade band of our predictive ranges. And guys, I tell you all the time, we trade between this band 70% of the time. I could see this pulling down. And if we take a look at where that line is at, it's 25.5, man. 25.5 is where I think we could see a rejection here. If we do get a pump, I would be watching for a rejection at around 28 off of this dynamic reactor before coming back down. Let's go ahead and jump this over to the 12-hour. Yeah, we're right now pushing on the 12-hour on the dynamic reactor and not able to get above it. We also have a trend line here that it looks like we're going to try to get support on, but this dynamic reactor sitting right above us, very, very strong on Bitcoin resistance, pushing it to the downside. We get set rid of some of these white lines, keep my charts clean. That's the way I like to do it. And you can see here on the 12-hour, we are seeing a little bit, and this is why I said that we might see some upside to that 4-hour dynamic reactor that we're seeing here. To get us up to that 28 point. And the reason for that is because if we look at the 12-hour, despite hitting the dynamic reactor right now, we could get a punch up through this dynamic reactor to up to this upper resistance band of the predictive ranges, which would be around 27.8, almost to that 28,000 mark. But if you look here on the oscillator, we are starting to get that pull up on the oscillator ribbon. It could get a rejection off the zero line, but the MACD right now is looking bullish. We got a green histogram, we've got the signal cross, and it looks like it could be coming back up there. So I do think 25 is in the cards, but guys, I got to tell you, 28.4, 28.5 could also be in the cards too before we pull back down again. So very pivotal point, as the thumbnail said today, guys, on Bitcoin. Let's go ahead and jump over, take a look at Ethereum here and see what we're seeing here. Ethereum on the 12-hour, also seeing that play on the dynamic reactor here. However, it seems to be turning gray right now. You see that graying out of the dynamic reactor? That means that Ethereum is trying to push into the ranges of the dynamic reactor. A little bit more bullish than what we're seeing on Bitcoin right now. And if we take a look at the oscillator and the MACD on that, also seeing the same things that we see on Bitcoin on the 12-hour. Now, there is some TA that I did on Ethereum. That's in the newsletter that comes out. When is that, T-Shroom?
The newsletter will be out today about noon 30 Eastern
Standard
Standard Time.
There you go. So there is some TA in there where I talk about the week ahead and what we could be looking at. And it's pretty much the same in there, guys. I'm telling you, I give a little bit more definitive ranges, but we are at a pivotal point right now of resistance with some bullish indicators giving us a boost while being pushed down at the same time. Let's go ahead and throw on the volume for Ethereum here, and you'll see same thing again. The volume is starting to really push downward and starting to drop, while at the same time price is going up. So I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see what happens there's not enough big information this week to go, yeah, I think we're going to move up. And there's not enough bullish indicators to say it is moving up, but there's also not enough bearish indicators saying it's going down. We are really at a pivotal point. Let's go ahead and drop over to the 4 hour on Ethereum, see what it's looking like. And on the Ethereum, guys, I do want to point this out. Hold on. Back to Bitcoin. Let me pull up the moving average because there was something I wanted to show you guys here. On the 200-week moving average here, guys, we wicked down to it on Bitcoin. Pivotal that we stay above this, guys. Very pivotal. Once we got above this, all of this price action that has occurred going all the way back to 16 March when we started to really see the rally of Bitcoin has all taken place above the 200-week moving average. We touched it for a test this week. This would be on Friday, last week, Friday morning. We tested it, wicked down to it, and that is where we got our big bounce out. As soon as we touched it, popped us right back up into an upward trend, okay? Why this is important. Guys, Ethereum never even got close to its moving average. Its moving average is all the way down here at about 1,500. Good thing it didn't touch it, but that 200-week moving average being below it, that was the big one that everyone freaked out when Bitcoin broke it, because we'd never really gone below the 200-week moving average, and all of a sudden here we are just getting wrecked by it for months. So that's Ethereum, guys, way above its 200-week moving average. Oscillator on the 4 hour does look like it's about to flip downward here, and we might get a rejection off this upper bearish zone. Histogram on 4 hour for Ethereum and 4 hour for Bitcoin, both showing potential of downside there too. Looking at Cardano on the 4 hour right now, Cardano also getting back up above this long running trend line here that it had been beneath, had a nice rejection, pulled down, pulled back up in, and currently sitting at about 37 cents, wicking as low as 35 cents also on Thursday of last week. So, excuse me, that is looking pretty good there. But we do have very strong resistance coming in at this upper trade band that says gold line right here in conjunction with that dynamic reactor and this trend line right here. So if it does continue up and it is able to find a little bit of movement, I would be looking right here somewhere in the range of 38 cents for a potential short if you wanted to grab a short on Cardano. If you're looking to DCA and buy some for investment purposes, I think that I would be waiting a little bit because it does look like we could have some more downside, especially with what we're seeing on Bitcoin possibly coming down to 25.5. Looking at Quant here, you can see that we have a downward trend line right here. This downward trend has been rejection, one right here on the 12 hour back on 30 April and one on May 5th. Now almost to the dollar rejection on 14 May, which would have been yesterday. But we are coming back up to fight it again. And remember, guys, I tell you all the time, the more times that we knock on the door, the more likely it's going to open, just like Penny and Sheldon in The Big Bang, right?
Oh,
knock,
my
knock,
gosh.
knock. Hey, it is called the Sheldon effect. It is a TA technique. So it does look like it is pushing up right there. Let me drop it down to the 4 hour on Quant, see what we're working with here. Quant on the 4 hour, not looking so bullish. Nice rejection here on the dynamic reactor. Rejected under the trend line still. Can't seem to get above it. And it looks like volume is pretty stagnant. It's not dropping like we've seen on some of the other tokens, but it is looking a little stagnant. And on the oscillator, guys, oscillator is now pulling to the downside right here. We got that ribbon twist, and that is going to be probably Litecoin's demise here for the short term. Let me see what the MACD is looking like. Show me what you're working with. Yeah, MACD histogram's cooling off, and it does look like the signal line here, guys, could get a bounce off of this signal. The MACD alert could get a bounce off that signal, but it does look like it's about to cross here unless it just takes off again. Man, look at this. Yeah, ribbon twist in the cloud. I think this is probably going to pull down to the zero line here if I had to take a guess here. If I had to trade this, I would be looking at it pumping one more time up into this dynamic reactor, and then I would short about 109.80. So let's go and pull in a Fibonacci here from the bottom to the top here, and we'll see how that looks first. There we go. That is going to be getting a bounce on the 50, which is very bullish in my opinion. I think this looks bullish. If it doesn't hold the 50 though, we're looking at that 4.5 cents. But right now, because we got such a great test on the 50% line, anything 50% and up on a Fibonacci is bullish, right? Anything below it is bearish. So there's that. Let's go ahead and remove that. And then I want to jump over and see if some of my fib strats actually work on this. And we are going to go with a top to bottom move over here firstly. Yeah, it looks like right now we are, it looks like we may have gotten rejection on this 382 here and then came down into that 236, and now we're going to retest it. So this one on the big time frame from its high, not looking too bullish. But remember, when these things first come out, they have these parabolic run-ups and then they settle down to reality, right? So one last thing that I can pull up here and show is, looking at the daily, is that we are right now hitting support on the lower trade band, guys. This could be heading back up to this point if it finds this support and takes off. Although I do have concern right here with this volume just really dying down here. And one last thing that I want to pull up and see. Oh, well, no, I tell you what, injection looks like it might be a buy. If you're looking for long-term hold, this could be a buy in the window that it's in right now.
Paul Tudor Jones says that the Fed is done raising rates and that stocks are going to finish the year higher from here. That's what Paul Tudor Jones is thinking. Bitcoin, a top 3 asset in the event of a U.S. debt default. Now, personally, I don't think that the debt default is all that likely. But as U.S. President Joe Biden prepares to meet with Congress on May 16th to tomorrow to discuss the U.S. debt ceiling, investors are seeking hedges to protect their savings in the event of a default. And let's look at the results. This from Bloomberg. Gold, obviously here, number 1 far and away, but treasuries, and look at this one right here. Bitcoin is definitely in the top 3. Dollar, even beating the dollar as a hedge against the debt ceiling chaos. So then you also see the Swiss franc, the yen, and something else. So pretty interesting that Bitcoin would even beat out the dollar and the yen and Swiss franc. That is pretty crazy. And the euro, I guess, isn't even on the list. So that's pretty wild. Very, very exciting there. Very bullish for Bitcoin. Wow, you made it to the end of the video. Great job. Now, if you want more content like this, whether it be TA on Bitcoin and Ethereum or altcoins, or you just want to stay up to date on the latest and greatest news in crypto, then stay tuned and tune in to our 9 a.m. live show every single weekday morning. It's 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And when you tune in live, use the keyword grip strength in the chat, and you'll get a special shout out from anyone who's paying attention to the chat. Love to see you there.